Derek, start with the new face in the squad. How excited are you to have Costa, and what will he bring to your team?
Yeah, well, obviously it was a position we had identified at the start of the pre-season just to try and bring in. We have looked at various different options. Obviously, the club's been reliant on Dujon, and obviously Dujon's had his history of injuries and issues. So we're looking to try and bring maybe a different type of fullback to that. And no one got high opinion of Dujon, but I think with Costa's what you get is that similar to Vanya really, but in a fullback position, real enthusiasm, athleticism that got him down the pitch. Shows good quality, a real eagerness to play the role. And when it's somebody so young, there's obviously going to be still areas to improve, but we're looking forward to try to get those improvements with him. But his eagerness to come here was clear, and the conversations we had with him a few weeks ago at the outset, after speaking to him and him speaking to us, it was something we were always keen to try and do.
You've obviously got James in as well. Do you feel as if you are beginning to build and get to where you want to be for the squad?
Yeah, but I think, delighted that we managed to get James, as I said on Sunday. I think the ability to react to Tua's injury and being in a transfer window allowed us to do that. But, grateful for the fact that we could bring James in, and I think he showed for his performance that he's got a lot to give us. So, yeah, it's two fullback areas that we look a bit stronger than we did a week ago, because we were really light. So we've addressed that pretty swiftly, thankfully. But we still have what to do towards the top end of the pitch, clearly. Even what I've said earlier, that they're the toughest ones at times to get. They're the ones with the bigger ticket a lot of times, the ones where we're keen to really address because they're the ones that can make a difference for us. And I do think that if we can get the right ones in those areas, it'll change the whole dynamic of the team. And with Eustace injury as an added complication here, we will try to address that issue as well. But, scoring 5 goals on Sunday, we showed enough attacking threat. But, we're still keen to make those additions as quickly as possible.
How close are you, Derek, to what's the striker search been like? I'm sure you won't want to reveal names, but maybe just give us an insight into how you're finding that search for Yusuf's replacement.
Yeah, well, it's not really my department, but obviously we are all working close together to try and bring the best option, not just an option, and try to be specific to what we're trying to look for, to be honest. But number 9s are normally more difficult ones to do, and it wasn't an area we were looking to try and do, but obviously with Yusuf's injury, everybody, the lads are all actively trying to find and source good options for us to try and see if we can deliver one. But certainly the work's been aplenty. We've been poring over different options and different strikers, and so we're hoping we can land on the one that we want, and hopefully we can bring via quickly.
Heading into this game tomorrow, how much difference does it make going into it on the back of a convincing win at the weekend?
Yeah, I think winning is why we're all here. It's like you can be good as you want Monday to Friday, but if you don't win your game and at the weekend, it's tough. I think even coming in on Monday morning, everybody was brighter, a bit more a spring in a step. Because ultimately, I want a winning dressing room, I want a winning club, and getting a win was important for us. It took a bit longer than we'd have hoped to get ourselves going, but I think the manner of the win was quite convincing. A lot of what we wanted for the game, we got. There's still certain things we need to improve on, clearly, but scoring 5 goals at home in any sort of game is good shooting. So, got to take the positives from it, and I thought it was some good performances within the game. So, no, absolutely. Getting into this game, everything seems a bit easier, a bit more enjoyable when you're winning football.
Just checking, Derek, Nijelovic and Penrice, are they both in the squad for tomorrow, and they're likely to feature from the start?
Yeah, as it stands, I think that James is being registered. We're still waiting on Costas at the minute, but we intentions to do that. Yeah,
and he's ready to go, despite just having turned up.
Yeah, well, he's been training and playing with Villa throughout the pre-season, and we've looked at his minutes and his training schedule. He's been pretty active. So, yeah, a bit like James, he came straight in on Sunday. There was always an element of risk in that, but he did well with that side of it. So if called upon, if we can get him registered in time and stuff like that, then I'm sure he'll do well for us.
Derek, Nico was obviously your captain at the weekend. Are you surprised at how long you've actually had with him? And is it difficult, at the back of your mind, you're maybe still preparing for life without him if a bid comes in?
Yeah, I think come into this with my eyes wide open, knowing that Nico was a potential flight risk. Obviously, he was still in the World Cup when I came in, and having a couple of conversations with him. We were keen for him to do well there, obviously, and come back to us in good form. But it's like everything else. Every player's got a price. Every player has got a time where it's maybe suits them to move on, suits the club or whatever. But I think it's important for me that to say that I think Nico's been a dream since we came in terms of how he's set about his work, and he doesn't look like a boy who's distracted in any way with that. I've no doubt there's a lot of stuff going on in the background with him, and I've no doubt there's going to be plenty of conversations being had about Nico, but I think I just need to play it by ear, really, to be honest. And if somebody tells me differently, then that changes things. But no, I'm enjoying working with him. Has to be said.
For the outside, it feels like Big Fernandez is struggling a wee bit at the moment. The fans get on him at one point just in terms of his concentration. Is that an issue? And is the kind of lack of competition or lack of defenders, is that kind of played a part in that, do you think?
Yeah, I think we're trying to help every player really try to get to their best form, and I think every player's at a different kind of moment, and we've got to make sure that we are as stingy as we can be at the back and get that rhythm and get those kind of relationships. There's been different centre-half pairings in the games that we've played. And I think for everybody it's to try and find their best form. And I think at this stage of the season sometimes it's difficult to beat your best, but certainly have to have that real focus and concentration and application at your work to try and get your best performances quickly. So every player's kind of got a similar. I understand the question, but I think we have got good players in the club and got a lot of potential in the club, and it's up to us to try and realise that potential. But I do think players themselves need to take that on board and be really concentrated, really focused, and try to get the best from themselves, because sometimes football's easy and you can just turn up and everything seems automatic. Sometimes you need to work that a wee bit harder at your game, and I think for us all at the start of the season, a new manager, a lot of new players coming in, everybody's got to have that real focus and concentration of what's been asked of them and what's expected of them.
Derek, I know a couple of weeks ago when you were talking about the captaincy, it wasn't a major issue for your own point of view, but obviously Lawrence has come into the team, been out of the team a couple of times. Is it a case that even though he's the club captain, he's not going to be obviously guaranteed that start? He is going to have to accept that on occasion he is going to find himself on the bench.
Yeah, I think I said that at the time when I spoke to Lawrence, just because the captain doesn't guarantee anything. He accepted that. He's not a daft boy. He's not going to start stamping his feet and saying this and that. It's somebody has to be club captain, and having had the benefit of working with Lawrence previously, he's a brilliant captain, absolutely brilliant captain, a brilliant boy, and he's got a lot to offer. And I think everybody can maybe look too much at that, to be honest. Obviously you want your captain to have a big influence on and off the pitch, and I believe Lawrence will have that. So for me, it's a non-question, but I understand how people might see more of it.
Will you still look to add another centre-half into the squad, Derek, or will you try and use like Dujon or Ross McCrory to kind of fill in those areas now that you've got a bit of right-back cover in as well?
So I think, never say never, but obviously priorities at the top end of the pitch. We need to bring players in at the top end of the pitch at the minute. It's not to say we wouldn't be looking elsewhere, but I think, as where we're at the minute, hopefully the next sign we make is someone in the forward areas. And that would be our priority, Chris.
Derek, is there intention to add still a winger off the left and a winger off the right? Again, does it depend on what's available to you?
Yeah, I think just want a winger that we can get at the minute or the level, to be honest. He plays off the left or plays off the right, it'll do me. If we can play off both sides, even better. So we've got, I think you've got Gas in Finlay, who obviously was up for press and was capable of good moments, and Riacotta is going to get better as we go along. And I think that we've got players who can play in these positions. But I think that for everything else, we see the importance of these positions, and we see the importance of the attacking threat that we have to have at Rangers, and but so does everybody. It's not as if it's just me saying it. We're all trying to get them, and I believe that whoever we bring in will give us that real dose of quality.
And just on the fact you played that shape at the weekend, the 4-3-3, is that giving you a bit of thought, given the attacking threat you carried?
Yeah, I think it is. I said after the game, it's not ironic, but it's we showed we're probably more attacked. We've had plenty of possession, plenty of penalty box entries in most of the games, but I actually thought we got moved up within the pitch a lot quicker. We got support beyond Ryan, our main striker. We had good midfield support. We had good transitional play, and I really enjoyed watching a lot of it. We've done a video for the team to look back at today. A lot of the qualities we showed, both winning the ball in good areas and what we did with it. And it's I've always liked to play with two strikers, but we made the decision to go with one, thinking that someone would fill the middle of the pitch as well. And we thought the game suited us to play with one striker. And ultimately, sometimes you've got to have the right combination of strikers as well. Sometimes you can only play two strikers if it's really worth it. And a lot of the time those strikers have got to be a bit different. And we made the decision to go with one striker at the weekend, and certainly played dividends in that game. It's not to say that that's always what we're going to do.
Derek, you know Lawrence better than anyone. How's his mindset at the moment in terms of the goal return? Is there an anxiety, or is there just that belief that when it clicks, it will click?
I think when you've got a boy like Lawrence who knows how he's way about the penalty box, he knows how to score goals, and he takes that role and that responsibility on, then you understand that it's. I never worry too much about that, especially with somebody like Lawrence, because he's too good not to get scoring on a regular basis, and he's consistently shown over a period of time in the Premier League 20 odd goals return every season at Hearts, and for me, he's I think people can over-emphasise these sort of things, and sometimes for me it's just a case of just let the boy be and just let him play his natural game. And the best strikers, as we all know, is having that instinctive part to their game. Everything looks really natural and seamless, and I've no doubts that he's going to do well here.
The team would have got a lift, obviously, from Sunday. You just hope they can build momentum now, starting tomorrow night.
Yeah, we're always looking for that. I think is to, if we can get another one on top of it. Obviously, we want to take a victory over to the Czech Republic next week. All the focus is obviously we've been looking at them over the last few days, and you obviously got to look at yourselves and what you want to do, but also look at the opposition. But at the end of the day, if we can deliver a big performance, if the players can individually be as strong as they were at the weekend, because I do think we had a lot of strong individual performances. And it pleased me after the efforts of Sunday. Our best physical output was against Hibs after travelling from Poland, and I thought it was a decent performance, certainly in terms of effort. And the lads got rewarded for their effort again on Sunday. For me, it was just important we won the game for so many reasons. Supporters needed to see a winning team. It was nice we got a few goals. It was nice we had some good performances, but if we can follow that up with another win, of course, that's only going to help matters before we travel to the Czech Republic. Last one, Gabs.
Derek, what do you expect from Jablonec tomorrow night, and do you consider yourself favourites over this double-legged tie?
I think it's difficult to really assess who's favourites and who not. I'm really born who's favourites, but for me, it's just it's a game that we put the emphasis on ourselves to go and win it. I know you watch them, but sometimes you can never really tell, because obviously they're playing teams in their own league, and that the teams that have played previously in Europe have maybe not been the same level as what we are, but at the same time, you can only take on what's in front of you. And, they're clearly a well-organised team, like most teams are. They've got a few good individuals who can make the game a bit more problematic for you, like most teams, but, we feel as though we've got a good handle on what they are, and they can change from shape to shape a lot of times. So even within the same personnel. So got to be ready for that. But ultimately, I'm just going back to what we said earlier. I'm just really want to try and concentrate on us finding our level and us getting big performances from us individually. Because if I feel as though if we can do that, then although I'm expecting a tough game, I expect it to be tougher for them.